Yes, okay. Um, Great. My presentation will be like 20, 25 minutes and it will be in general about studying in Holland. I will do this in Spanish because my presentation is in Spanish as well, so you don't get mixed up. So now I'll switch to Spanish. Bueno, mi nombre entonces es Sandra y yo trabajo en NUFIC, que es la oficina de representación oficial de la educación superior de Holanda para México y Latinoamérica. Y durante esa presentación voy a dar una introducción acerca del país, por qué estudiar ahí, cómo es el sistema educativo, pero también sobre las becas, por supuesto, al final. Bueno, para empezar, quiero platicar un poquito más sobre el país Holanda o los Países Bajos. Siguiente diapositiva, por favor. Sí. Bueno, podemos decir que es un país chiquito porque realmente del norte a sur son 350 kilómetros más o menos. Entonces, de cualquier lado de Holanda, si viajas durante 2 horas, ya estás o en Alemania o estás en Bélgica. Y de hecho, si tú estudias en Holanda, no solamente vas a estar estudiando en Holanda, no, estudiarás realmente en Europa, porque todo el continente, el viejo continente está a tu alcance. Ahora puedes llegar a Londres en tren en un viaje de 4 horas, 4 horas y media más o menos. Si vas en tren a París, son como 4 horas. A Madrid, pues puedes llegar en 2 horas en avión. Roma, igual 2 horas. Berlín, igual 2 horas. Entonces, realmente vas a poder conocer todo el continente durante tus estudios. Pero también dentro de Holanda hay muchos lugares que valen la pena conocer. Siguiente, por favor. Porque tenemos ciudades con una arquitectura de vanguardia. Primero, por supuesto, los holandeses famosos. No sé si reconocen algunos de ellos, pero aquí tenemos, por ejemplo, Max Verstappen, el piloto de Fórmula 1, los DJs como Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, Martin Garrix. Tenemos actores y actrices de Hollywood. Yo creo que el más famoso ahora, Carice van Houten de Game of Thrones. Pero también en el pasado tuvimos los pintores como Van Gogh, como Rembrandt van Rijn. Y por supuesto en el ámbito académico, pues interesante es saber que Erasmo era un gran filósofo que es de Rotterdam. Christian Huygens van Leeuwenhoek, grandes físicos. Y Ben Veringa, pues se puede unir a ese grupo de holandeses famosos porque él es el último ganador del premio Nobel holandés para el campo de física. Entonces, realmente, él ganó su premio Nobel hace unos 3, 4 años. Así se puede ver que es un país chiquito, pero entre todos los 16, 17 millones de habitantes tenemos algunas personas bastante famosas. Aquí pues pueden ver, para tener una idea en qué país podrían estudiar, pues Holanda o también pues su nombre oficial, el Reino de los Países Bajos, es un país que tiene mucha variedad realmente. Lo que no vas a encontrar son montañas, porque por eso se llama Países Bajos, por supuesto, que no tenemos mucha pues elevación. Realmente la montaña más alta de Holanda mide como 300 metros de altura. Entonces, si tú conectas desde Colombia, Bolivia y estás en los Andes, pues la verdad no es nada, por supuesto. Aún aquí en la Ciudad de México, pues si de aquí viajamos a Holanda, vamos de 2.200 metros de altura a -7, porque el aeropuerto de Holanda está debajo del nivel del mar. Y eso también puedes ver en una de las fotos ahí abajo, las grandes obras de ingeniería civil para proteger el país contra el agua, porque es una tercera parte del país está debajo del nivel del mar. Aquí también vas a encontrar, pues, por supuesto, los tulipanes, los molinos. No podemos evitar eso porque es parte de la identidad holandesa. Siguiente. Ahora pues voy a hablar un poquito más sobre por qué estudiar en Holanda. Pues aquí tengo unos puntos y voy a entrar un poquito más en detalle sobre algunos de esos puntos. Siguiente. Una de las grandes ventajas que tiene Holanda es que no tienes que saber ni una palabra holandés. Eso sí, te va a ayudar muchísimo, por supuesto. En este momento tenemos alrededor de 2.000 programas impartidos completamente en inglés. Entonces, las clases en inglés, las tareas en inglés, la literatura en inglés, los exámenes y también tu tesis para terminar tu carrera o tu maestría, la escribes completamente en inglés. Esa es una gran ventaja porque además Holanda tiene la fama por ser uno de los países con el mejor dominio de inglés como segundo idioma. Significa que también la vida cotidiana en cualquier parte del país puede sobrevivir sin saber nada de holandés con puro inglés es suficiente. Además, tenemos en las universidades un sistema educativo muy interactivo. Significa que tú tienes que interactuar mucho con los compañeros de clase y aprendes no solamente del profesor, pero también mucho de tus compañeros de clase. Ahora, esta página web va a ser muy importante para ustedes porque el primer paso, por supuesto, es ubicar en qué universidad en Holanda encuentras el programa que tú estás buscando. Bueno, tenemos la página de studyfinder.nl y este es un buscador en línea de todos los programas impartidos en inglés en cualquier universidad holandesa. Entonces ahí puedes poner una palabra clave, por ejemplo, engineering, y ahí filtrar sobre los programas de maestría y salen todos los programas relacionados con la maestría en ingeniería en Holanda, en diferentes universidades. Así puedes comparar un poquito los programas, encontrar más información general sobre el programa, sobre la universidad, pero también sobre las becas que ofrecen las diferentes universidades. Siguiente. Pues muchos estudiantes internacionales llegan a Holanda justamente por los programas impartidos en inglés. A mí personalmente me ayudó mucho porque yo hace muchos años ya estudié una carrera en International Business and Languages y durante mis clases también estaba pues, trabajando en equipo con algunos mexicanos. Ya había hecho un intercambio a Ecuador, entonces ya conocí un poquito la vida latinoamericana. Y pues la verdad me encantó. Yo tenía que regresar a este lado del océano. Entonces, a través de mi universidad, pues encontré un puesto de prácticas profesionales aquí en México. Y también es porque los mexicanos que estaban en mi clase, salón de clase me convencieron que la Ciudad de México era una ciudad interesante, impresionante y no todos los estereotipos que piensa la gente de sucio y peligroso. No, pues claro que hay aquí en la Ciudad de México, pero ellos me comentaron también que hay más que solamente eso. Y por eso me animaron y pues ya más de 10 años después todavía sigo aquí. En este momento, más o menos 12% del total de los estudiantes son de otro país, la mayoría de Europa, pero también hay más o menos 2.000 latinoamericanos que inician una estancia académica cada año en Holanda, de cual más o menos 500 pues, son mexicanos, unos 400 brasileños y los demás de los demás países. Y eso también causa que ellos mismos se buscan ahí, porque hay varias asociaciones que celebran sus días de independencia, el Día de Muertos, etcétera. Es muy padre la convivencia entre los latinos. Si hablamos de la calidad de la educación superior holandesa, pues podemos verlo en los rankings internacionales. No soy tan fan de los rankings porque tienen unas formas de medir la calidad que a veces excluye a algunas instituciones, pero podemos decir que en Holanda tenemos 13 universidades de investigación y 11 de ellas están entre los mejores docentes de Times Higher Education Ranking y 9 de ellos están en el último ranking de 2021 de QS. Eso significa que cuando tú vas a estudiar en Holanda, no solamente vas a tener pues una educación de alto nivel académico, también significa que vas a tener que trabajar muchísimo, porque la verdad sí es pesado estudiar en Holanda, pero vale la pena, porque con tu título o tu grado de Holanda, pues abre puertas en cualquier parte del mundo para seguir estudiando o para trabajar, por supuesto. Siguiente. En Holanda no tenemos universidades así 100% privadas o 100% públicas como en muchos países latinoamericanos, no. Es más una mezcla. Significa que todo el mundo paga colegiatura, pero el gobierno da subsidios a las universidades. Por lo tanto, si vamos a ver las matrículas anuales, pues en general para un programa de pregrado en bachelor estarás pagando entre 6 y 15 mil euros al año y una maestría, un máster de 8 a 20 mil euros. Depende todo de la universidad y del programa de estudio. Si tú cuentas con un doble nacionalidad de la Unión Europea, entonces, por ejemplo, además de colombiano, también eres español o italiano, pues tienes acceso a la colegiatura, a la matrícula para europeos, que es de 2.100 euros al año, entonces es aún mucho más económico. Los costos de vida, pues calculamos entre 800 y 1.100 euros mensuales más o menos. Lo más variable ahí es el costo de la renta, por supuesto. En algunas ciudades pagas un poquito más de renta, por ejemplo en Amsterdam está un poquito más elevado el costo de la renta y en otras ciudades un poquito menos. Pero con 800 a 1.100 € al mes, tienes una buena vida de estudiante y eso incluye todo, renta, comida, seguro, tu bicicleta, todo, todo, todo. Y es muy comparable con otros países europeos como Alemania y Francia. Es un poquito más económico que el Reino Unido en general. Siguiente. El sistema educativo es muy parecido al sistema en Latinoamérica, porque primero es tu pregrado, el bachelor, después el máster y si quieres, puedes continuar con un doctorado, un PhD. Lo que sí es diferente es que tenemos dos tipos de instituciones. Tenemos universidades de investigación que tienen un enfoque hacia la investigación académica. Entonces, ahí la educación es más teórica y en general te preparan para poder continuar con una carrera académica, entonces, de investigador. La carrera dura 3 años y para poder entrar normalmente con un diploma del bachillerato o de preparatoria en Latinoamérica, se requiere realizar un año propedéutico en otro lado, un año de preparación, antes de poder entrar en ese bachelor. Después, si quieres hacer una maestría, la duración es de 1 o 2 años dependiendo del campo de estudio, porque tenemos muchos programas que duran un solo año, por ejemplo, en ciencias sociales, en administración, en humanidades, artes, es un solo año, pero cuando quieres hacer una ingeniería o ciencias medioambientales, en general son 2 años. El doctorado dura 4 años en promedio. También tenemos un tipo que se llama las universidades de ciencias aplicadas, que tienen un enfoque hacia una carrera profesional. Entonces, ahí durante las clases ya vas a aprender muchas habilidades que vas a aplicar durante tu carrera después de los estudios. Ahí el bachelor dura 4 años porque siempre va a incluir una estancia de prácticas profesionales. Y la maestría igual es de 1 o 2 años. Siguiente. Depende de cada programa de estudio, cuáles son los documentos que tienes que presentar para tu admisión. Porque en Holanda no hay exámenes de admisión ni nada. En general, pues en base a tus documentos, deciden si o no puedes entrar en el programa de estudio que quieres estudiar. Para una carrera, pues necesitamos el diploma de la prepa o de bachillerato y para una maestría el título de la carrera. Si aún no cuentas con ese documento, pero estás en tu último semestre o está en trámite, no hay problema. Ya puedes iniciar el proceso de admisión con la universidad utilizando una carta que dice que está en trámite tu título, por ejemplo. También en general te van a pedir tu historial académico con todas tus calificaciones. Y como vas a estar viviendo y estudiando completamente en inglés, pues necesitas comprobar que tengas un buen dominio de ese idioma. Un TOEFL IBT de 80 puntos o un IELTS de 6.0, esos son los resultados mínimos, mínimos, mínimos. Pero algunos programas, por ejemplo, si tú quieres estudiar vamos a decir, relaciones internacionales, seguramente te van a pedir 95 de TOEFL o 7.5 de IELTS. Entonces, revise muy bien la página web de cada programa para conocer los requisitos de admisión a detalle. También es muy común que te piden una carta de motivación, un curriculum vitae, cartas de recomendación y dependiendo del programa de estudio, igual otros exámenes como el GMAT o GRE, un portafolio para los arquitectos, por ejemplo, etc. Siguiente. Durante tus estudios sí se puede trabajar, pero Holanda no es realmente un destino de work and study, porque en general no es necesario, no tienes muchísimo tiempo de sobras. Aunque tú tienes permitido trabajar hasta 16 horas a la semana, tienes que tomar en cuenta que tus estudios sí van a ser 40 horas a la semana. Entonces, igual te sobra un poquito de tiempo para trabajar en un fin de semana, pero no muchísimo. Entonces, no es suficiente para pagar tus estudios. Otra cosa, otro detalle importante es que toma en cuenta que puedes vivir sin saber ni una palabra holandés, puedes estudiar sin saber ni una palabra holandés, pero la verdad no es tan fácil encontrar trabajo si no hablas el idioma. Por ejemplo, en una tienda o en un restaurante muchas veces sí requieren un dominio del idioma. Entonces, yo recomiendo ir con la idea, ok, durante mi tiempo de estudios en Holanda me enfoco en mis estudios y después voy a trabajar, porque una vez que termines tus estudios, tienes la oportunidad de quedarte un año entero en Holanda para buscar trabajo a nivel de tus estudios. Y durante ese año de trabajo no tienes limitaciones de un sueldo mínimo o un número de horas máximo que puedes trabajar, no. tú puedes trabajar en lo que sea para pagar tu renta y mientras ir a entrevistas de trabajo, por ejemplo, y si encuentras trabajo, puedes quedarte más tiempo. En promedio, unos 38% de la gente fuera de la Unión Europea que se graduaron en Holanda todavía están allí 5 años después. Entonces, una tercera parte, o más de una tercera parte de los latinoamericanos también se quedan en Holanda. Ahora, para casi a finalizar mi presentación, pues las becas y los financiamientos son una parte muy importante. Pues como tienes que saber, el proceso siempre será primero solicitar la admisión en la universidad y luego las becas, no al revés. Porque muchos programas de beca requieren simplemente una carta de aceptación, aunque sea condicional, para poder recibir tu solicitud de la beca. Por parte del gobierno de Holanda hay unos 2, 3 programas de beca y, por ejemplo, el Holland Scholarship, voy a entrar un poquito más a detalle sobre eso. Igual sobre el Orange Tulip Scholarship, que es un programa de becas de diferentes universidades de Holanda. Muchas universidades de Holanda tienen sus propias becas para estudiantes internacionales. Esas las puedes ya encontrar en el Study Finder, en el buscador de www.studyfinder.nl, pero también en la página web de cada universidad vas a encontrar más información. Y ahí tienes que revisar bien en qué consiste la beca, para qué programas son, cómo solicitarlas, etc. Además de esas becas, también hay varias organizaciones nacionales e internacionales que también ofrecen apoyos. Por ejemplo, aquí en México tenemos CONACYT, FIDER, FUNET. En Colombia tenemos Cofutura, MinCiencias, ICETEX, Una Beca en Perú, etc. Entonces, siempre vale la pena revisar otras opciones. En nuestra página web, latinoamerica.org/becas, tenemos un resumen de las becas disponibles. ¿Sí? Primero quiero platicar un poquito sobre el Holland Scholarship, que es una beca para cualquier nacionalidad no europea, realmente, fuera de la Unión Europea. Y eso es una beca con fondos del gobierno de Holanda en conjunto con las universidades. Las solicitas a través de la universidad donde tú vas a estudiar. Entonces, primero solicitas la admisión y luego la beca directamente con ellos. Ellos también te pueden decir exactamente para qué programas apliquen, porque para algunos están incluidos todos los programas de estudio, otros solamente para maestrías, etc. Ese apoyo consiste en una contribución de 5.000 euros y solamente se puede recibir una sola vez. Entonces, si tú ganas esa beca, pues por lo menos, bueno, un semestre realmente no tienes que preocuparte demasiado por tus costos de manutención, pero después tienes que buscar otros financiamientos para complementarlo. Porque eso sí es importante, no son becas exclusivas. Se puede combinar el Holland Scholarship con el Orange Student Scholarship, con una beca, un crédito, una beca de aquí de México, de donde sea. Entonces, sí son complementarios. La fecha límite depende de cada universidad. Puede ser 1 de febrero de 2021 o 1 de mayo, depende de cada uno. Y le puedes checar más información en la página web. Como ya mencioné, pues muchas universidades holandesas tienen sus propias becas para estudiantes internacionales. Y algunos de ellos decidieron reservar becas solamente para mexicanos. Estas son las becas de Orange Tulip Scholarship. Entonces, aquí la gran ventaja es que tú puedes solicitar una beca para, por ejemplo, una maestría en psicología en la Universidad de Maastricht. Y esa universidad, pues el año pasado sí participó y ahí especialmente participó la Facultad de Neurociencias y Psicología. Entonces ahí tú solamente estarás compitiendo con otros mexicanos que se inscriben en la Facultad de Neurociencias y Psicología de la Universidad de Maastricht. No son muchos. Entonces ahí tienes buenas oportunidades de ganar ese apoyo. Las becas dependen directamente de cada universidad. Entonces, cada una ofrece lo que quieren ofrecer realmente. A veces son descuentos al costo de la matrícula, a veces no puedes pagar la manutención, a veces son becas que cubren todo realmente. En noviembre de este año vamos a publicar la nueva convocatoria y ahí vas a ver en esta página web cuáles son las universidades que ofrecen entonces becas exclusivamente para mexicanos. La convocatoria entonces abre en noviembre y cierra el 1 de abril de 2021 en general. Para terminar mi parte de la presentación, pues quiero mostrar nada más nuestra página web porque es realmente tu portal para estudiar en Holanda. Aquí tenemos en latinoamerica.org tenemos el buscador de los programas de estudio, tenemos información sobre las becas, requisitos de admisión, costos, todo lo que necesitas realmente. Y entonces, si tú encuentras algo ahí que no te quede claro, pues siempre puedes contactarnos, puedes hacernos llegar un correo a través de la página web o en la siguiente diapositiva tenemos los diferentes formas de contactarnos por correo electrónico, por WhatsApp. Y estamos aquí para ayudarnos durante pues durante todo el proceso con cualquier duda, cualquier problema que encuentren realmente. Nuestra oficina se ubica en la Ciudad de México, en la colonia Ansurs, pero en este momento por la situación con el COVID-19, la oficina está cerrada para visitas en este momento. Entonces, mándanos un correo a info@mexico.org o mándanos un mensaje a WhatsApp a más 52 55 1074 14 10 y ahí pues podemos contestar cualquier duda que tengan. Además, les invito a seguirnos en las redes sociales, en Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, como en Eso México, porque ahí siempre estamos publicando eventos en línea, tenemos varios webinars que estamos organizando, por ejemplo, convocatorias de becas, cosas generales sobre Holanda, y en nuestro Instagram puedes seguir realmente cómo es la vida de un estudiante latino en Holanda, porque ahí pues realmente hacemos un cambio cada 15 días más o menos de que diferentes estudiantes demuestran su visión de Holanda a través de fotos. Bueno, con eso yo me quedo. Yo veo que hay varias preguntas, pero yo creo que vamos a contestar las preguntas después de la sesión, Geert, o en este momento.
Thank you very much, Sander. I will switch to English because my Spanish is not as good as yours. But indeed, yes, we do the questions in the end. I've already understood here as well that there are some questions that people here can't answer, but we'll do those at the end of the session. So for everybody who is listening in, Sander works for the Dutch government, really promoting Dutch education in general. So you will have understood that you can indeed see in general everything about education in Holland with Sander and Ludwig Nesso. So now we continue with Innova Education. Innova Education is an organization also based in Mexico City, but working a lot in the whole of Latin America. So we work for students in Peru, in Chile, in Bolivia, in Ecuador, in Paraguay, in Bolivia. We have people on the ground as well in several countries. And we are helping students, Latin American students who want to go and study in Holland in the entire process. So the next part of the presentation is more about how to get to study in Holland. And I will show you the different universities that we represent in Holland. Next, when you go and study in Holland, you are of course going to see a very different culture. So this is why this slide is for next to your academic life, you'll be able to enjoy Dutch life and culture. I can tell you that it is very different from, in general, the culture in Latin America. And of course, it will really enrich your life to be studying in Holland for a while in such a different culture. As Sander has mentioned, it is very easy to visit other European countries. If you look very close by, France, Germany, they are very close, but still very different cultures. I have noticed, by the way, that when I turn the slides, there's a little bit of delay. So sometimes it takes a little while before the slide changes. Okay, one subject that I wanted to mention, even though it was also mentioned by Sander, there are several ways, of course, to finance your study. You can, of course, pay for the study yourself, or your parents can help you if you are an undergraduate, but many people are looking into scholarships and loans. The first option that you have is these kind of options in your home country, and then scholarships. So I've mentioned here Mexican examples. Here in Mexico, we have CONACYT, and we have a combination between CONACYT and FUNET, but in many other countries, there are very good options. In Bolivia, we've always had the scheme of 100 becas. Then also in Paraguay and in Uruguay and in Chile, there are several schemes from the government called, for instance, also CONACYT. And in Paraguay, it is called BECAL. So countries have their own scholarship schemes. Apart from looking for funding in your own country and scholarship, it is also possible to look in Holland. Those options have already been discussed by Sander. The Orange Tulip Scholarship for Mexicans, Holland scholarships for all Latin Americans. And I would like to stipulate that many universities have very good scholarships, and we will go into those a little bit later. Never forget that it is also possible to get a loan. Depending on the country where you are, this is also possibilities. There are possibilities from the state. Here from the state in Mexico, we have FIDER, but also in Paraguay, for instance, I know there are very good options. Very often, these schemes will look at how high the universities are ranked in general, but it is important to realize that there are possibilities. Also good to be aware that when you go and look into private organizations, very often the interest rates are relatively high. So that is really only used for, let's say, smaller amounts if you are short a small amount when you go to study abroad. Study duration and work. Undergraduate course is 3 years, master 1 year, depending on, there's also master for 2 years. Good to mention that tuition fees typically need to be paid upfront. One of my universities, VU Amsterdam, is an exception to that, but normally that is something to pay upfront and important to realize. Courses start in September. Some universities have February entry programs as well. However, for the February entry, scholarship options are definitely less. You can work up to 16 hours. In summer, you can work a little bit more. This was mentioned by Sander as well. Applications in Holland go via StudyLink. This is an important subject. You are going to be in direct contact with the universities, but before you can do that, you have to apply via the portal from the government. The portal from the government is called StudyLink, and via that program, you can apply to 4 different options. So I normally help students with the creation of this StudyLink account. It is all linked to your personal data, but I help also because there are certain Dutch terms in there, like WO, which has to do with the kind of previous education that you have. So I help to set that all up. After that is done and we are able to add the courses, then you will be in direct contact with universities. Very important for Holland to be on time. The Dutch process is early. The deadline is a deadline, and you have to be aware that you are, let's say, you have to prepare early in the year. If you, for instance, look at universities in the United Kingdom, you can still easily apply in February or in March. For Holland, that is not so much the case. Certain scholarship options, for instance, already close the 1st of February. By that time, you will have already applied. Ideally, best is to apply in October, November, to get an answer from the universities just before Christmas or just after Christmas, to be able to apply to the first scholarship deadlines that are on the 1st of February. Later in StudyLink is also used to show how you will be paying for your studies. If you're going to use funding, and if you are paying yourself or the money comes from your country, where exactly does it come from? So here you see a screenshot from StudyLink. Important to realize that you do not have a DigiD. DigiD is a digital identification number for Dutch residents. As a foreigner, you will not have that. And that means that once we set that up for you, that you always have to be on the right side of this screen. So you log in without a DigiD because you are a foreigner. Here you see an example. It's a bit empty, but I did that, of course, on purpose because there's personal data in there. You can see on the left study programs that this student has applied to. We have to fill out your previous education, if we already have the diploma, the date, etc. On the right, all your personal details, where you live, all your contact details as well. And in the middle, you get messages from universities. As soon as we add this account and we add the courses that you apply to, you will receive messages within StudyLink. Therefore, it is your application center, and per study program, you will also be able to see what is the status. So here you see an example that you see that the university has received the application request. They are now looking at the previous education of the students. They are waiting for a language test, and the tuition fee amount is to be determined. So this is just an example. Then, where in Holland can you study with the help of Innova Education? So we work for 4 research universities. Sander has mentioned that there are also universities of applied science. We are in the process of adding the Hague University of Applied Science at the moment. But for applications right now, we are helping these 4 universities: Groningen, Amsterdam, Twente, and Radboud. Then, just to give you an idea, what can you study at the different universities? I would like to make clear that most subjects you can study at most universities, but not everything. For instance, in Amsterdam, you can see that they are not into education, nor in chemistry or biology. In Twente, I will tell you more about that a little bit later, is a technical university, a science university, and therefore things like anthropology, art, history, culture, you cannot study those there. This is the second bit. Here you can see other subjects that in Twente you cannot study. And in Radboud, for instance, they don't have engineering nor geology. So you cannot study everything everywhere, but in general, the generic universities do have a lot of options. Then I would like to start with the first university and tell you a little bit more about that. That first university is Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. Difficult name, very Dutch name, and they use that Dutch name in all their marketing. So this is the name that you will see. It literally means the Free University of Amsterdam. Welcome to Amsterdam. Amsterdam, of course, is the capital of our country and is a bustling metropolis. World famous cultural heritage, international recognized scientific and commercial center. Extensive public transport network. That is one of the things in general in Holland that you will see if you go and study there, that public transport is great, not only within the city, as is mentioned here for Amsterdam, but also between cities, especially the train network is fantastic in Holland. And also important, they go on time. English is widely spoken. It's the fourth safest city in the world. So this is something that might surprise people, but Holland in general is a very safe country. And if you look at capitals, then Amsterdam is one of the safest capitals in the world. Great food, very international, excellent shopping, and there will be many international students there, also because there is another university in Amsterdam. This university is ranked 11th worldwide when it comes to the quality of living. So that also tells you a lot. Facts and figures. Diversity is important. Almost 30,000 students, of which over 4,000 international. So that's a bit over 16%. 122 nationalities, 9 faculties that I will mention later, and over 170 English programs. In the Shanghai ranking, this university is ranked number 103, and it is an on-campus university. In the next slide, you can see the subject areas: business and economics, science, behavioral movement sciences, religion and theology, social sciences, humanities, medical sciences, and law. Then in the last slide from this university, I would like to mention their scholarship. So Amsterdam is one of those universities that has a very, very nice scholarship. It's called the VU Fellowship Program, and it is for master students only, but it is a very good scholarship and it covers your entire tuition fee. So if you get this scholarship, you would only have to make sure that you can pay for your living expenses. The rest is covered. This is one of these universities that the deadline is already the 1st of February. So here you see why I said that it is important to apply early. Important to mention as well for Mexicans who are in this session, that if you apply to the Orange Tulip Scholarship, that is part of VUFP. So that means if you do not get VUFPs, you also automatically will not get the Orange Tulip Scholarship. There was a bit of misunderstanding about that last year. So that's why I've put that in this slide. One is part of the other. More information, of course, you can find on their website. Then the next university is University of Groningen, completely in the north of Holland. And this is the main building. It is a beautiful building. And one of the characteristics of this building is that it is very close to the center. You can see it is a very nice old building, and it is always completely packed with bikes, which is one of the main means of transport for any student in Holland. The University of Groningen is a research university founded in 1614. It's ranked number 73 in Times Higher Education, so a high-ranked university. It is ranked number 65 in the Shanghai. It has over 32,000 students, so a little bit more than the university in Amsterdam. and they come from 120 different countries. They have 120,000 alumni worldwide, 180 English taught degrees, 11 faculties, and 10 graduate schools. About Groningen, for the Mexicans who are listening in, I can tell you that they are relatively active in Mexico. They have a convenio with UNAM. They have a convenio with CONACYT. So this means that this is a university that has a big, broad base in Mexico. Groningen as a city, completely in the north, close to the sea, largest and the oldest city in the north. It has 200,000 inhabitants, and what is quite particular, 1 in 4 of those is a student. The university takes a huge part in the city, and that is combined with the university hospital, which is actually very famous, and we have a lot of students who are going there every year. It's the youngest city in Holland. It has a safe and laid-back community, and it is a city of talent, very innovative. Interesting to realize is that they have 145 kilometers of bicycle lanes. In the center, it is actually not allowed to drive with a car. Clean air, and they have a lot of festivals and events during the year. Sander showed you some prizes. So these are prizes that I have received from the University of Groningen, and I thought it would be nice to share with you specifically what the university says. So here you see around the same amount, is that in total in Groningen you would need between 900 and 1,000 euros to live, and in the top you see the tuition fees. Language center, good to realize, also as Sander said, that to study in Holland you need English. That is what you need. You do not need Dutch. However, of course, it is nice to be able to speak Dutch, especially when you go out with colleagues, etc., with other students. Apart from that, you can also learn other languages there. However, Dutch is something that you can learn, especially the basics, and there are no costs. As you can see here, there's also even Arabic, Chinese, German, Hebrew, Japanese, so many options. This is not only, by the way, for this university, this counts for several universities. Next university to show you a little bit about, and as you can see, these slides are from the universities themselves, not made by me, but by them. Next university is Radboud University in Nijmegen, in the middle of Holland, close to the German border. This is a top university as well. It's in top 1% of the world. Has been voted best traditional university in the Netherlands 8 times in the last years. Only once another university has won this title, and that was actually the University of Groningen. It's a very open-minded international university. Students are challenged to produce new ideas, to think creatively. This is something that is important to realize about Dutch education. It is different from education over here. It is not so much about being able to reproduce theory, but to use theory, to be able to apply theory and to be able to solve problems with the theory that you have learned. It is a very safe and lively city, and by train it is only 1.5 hours away from Amsterdam and Schiphol Airport. Personal small-scale teaching programs are accredited, diplomas are internationally recognized. A wide range of programs, and there's a lot of personal support. Radboud is one of the few universities that actually has a campus. The former 2 universities are city universities. That means that housing is arranged in a different way. This is a university that actually can offer housing and that has a campus in the middle of the city. In 15 minutes, you are in exactly the city center on your bike. It's a very modern university, and they have heavily invested recently in all their equipment and everything that they offer. The sports center of Radboud is one to mention specifically. They have been voted #1 in the world, actually, for many years, according to the International Student Barometer. So you pay only 10 euros a month, and the center offers over 70 different sports. Apart from that, on campus, there are a lot of other facilities. One of those is, of course, a supermarket, but also there's a restaurant, snacks, etc. You can eat there as well. Then, next subject is the master programs. Most programs are 1 year. Some are 2 years. Those are the science and research masters. There's a large amount of flexibility in this university to choose your own program and specialization. Deadline for the application is 1 April, but for the Orange Tulip Scholarship, it's the 1st of March. All programs start in September. A few of them also have a February start. Pre-masters are available should your previous education not be exactly as with a fit with the program that you want to do. There's pre-master available as well. There's 40 English taught programs in different areas. I would say that this university, everything is a little bit more personal, and also when they look at your previous education, they are very much looking into details. Student support is very important. Before arrival, they help you with a visa application. This is important as well to realize about Holland. In some other countries, you have to arrange the visa yourself. In Holland, this will be done by the university. Support with finding housing for international students. Here you see the costs, relatively low. Upon arrival, there's a pickup service at Amsterdam Airport. And before your courses study, there is the orientation week, and they actually start in about a week time. During your stay over there, there are study advisors, and you will have a mentor yourself who you can go to with any problem that you might run into. There's career weeks, there's in-house days, there's free courses in social Dutch, and there is a lot of events as well. After you have studied in Holland, as also mentioned by Sander, you can stay another year to do literally whatever you want. So it is very easy to extend your visa. Last university for me to discuss is the University of Twente. This one is different than the other ones. The other ones are generic universities, more generic universities. This one is a technical university, very strong in science and engineering. They have very strong links with businesses. Founded in 1961, so also relatively young, University of High Tech Human Touch. Accredited programs, entrepreneurial university, and they are very good at tutoring and study guidance. This university also here in Mexico has convenios with both UNAM and CONACYT. Here in the next slide, you can see the university campus from above. This is the second university that has a campus. Half of the students stay on campus and the other half stay in the city. The campus is a very vibrant, I would say, environment. Also, a lot of sports you can do there. They have 150 hectares of beautiful parkland. Facts and figures, the next slide from Twente University. This is a smaller university. They only have 11,000 students. So of the 4 universities that we work with, this is by far the slowest one. Sorry, the smallest one. They do this on purpose and they do not want to grow much more. So this is not a university that says, we also want to have 20 or 30,000 students. They've actually said we want to go to a maximum of 12,000 students and we want to give very tailor-made programs, very much focused on everything that has to do with science and engineering. Here you see a little bit more numbers between international students, bachelor students, and master students. Good to see, for instance, that if you look at employees, they have 3,000 employees on 11,000 students. So that tells you a lot of the amount of service that they give. They are very entrepreneurial and, as said, a lot of combination with business. So this is one of the things that they received in the past, rewards for in 2013, 15, 17, and 19. They are the university that is most in contact with businesses and that helps businesses to improve inventions, etc. Then the different faculties of this university. We have electrical engineering, mathematics, and computer science. This is the only university that asks for an application fee. We have engineering technology, science and technology, geoinformation science, and earth observation. That faculty actually has some very specific and nice scholarships. And last but not least, behavioral management and social sciences. Then one more picture of the University of Twente. Services for international students. They help with housing, insurance, introduction day support, learning Dutch, and they have over 100 associations. So you can see as well, this is a university for who the student experience is very important. Until so far about the individual university. Then a slide with 10 simple steps to go and study in Holland. These are steps Of course, some other organizations will have different steps, but it tells you a little bit in general. The first thing is to decide on courses and universities. Of course, we need to look if we can find the right course for you at the right university. Normally, we look at 2 or 3 options per student. Via StudyLink, you can apply to maximum 4, but normally with 2 or 3, you have enough. If we can help you if you're interested in courses at our universities, you can fill out our online application form. With that, we create your StudyLink account and we start to look at all the documents that you need for your applications. We check the documents one by one, and doing this, we enhance your chances to be able to start your study, and of course, it makes it easier for you. Very important that we have an English language certificate with the right grade. You can apply directly to the universities after the courses have been added to StudyLink. We need to sort out your funding, help you with application for scholarship. Then in the end, you will receive offers, and then it becomes important to decide which is your first option, which is your second option. Very often, university scholarships play an important role in that as well. Then student accommodation and apply for your study visa. So study visa is a subject that I wanted to give a little bit extra attention to. As I said, this is something that you will be helped with by the university. They will help you in the process. They are going to check that you have enough funding available to be able to live and study for a full year in Holland. Important to realize that before you will receive your visa, you will have had proven that you have the money. They of course also look at scholarships. When you look at living expenses, in general, you need a little bit less than 11,000 euros at this moment. And apart from that, then you have to have tuition fee. Also 10, 12,000. So it depends a little bit, but for between 23 and 25,000 euros, normally you can study for a full year in Holland, and then scholarships have to be deducted from that amount. The cost for the study visa are 174 euros, and the same amount will be required for extension, so that 1 year to stay in Holland. Medical insurance and also liability insurance are obligatory, and that is also important to realize and will be a part of your costs per month. A little bit about Innov Education. Why are we doing this? We are literally working for these 4 universities that I have showed you. They pay us for the service that you give. The idea is that we take the hassle out of the program, of the application, and that we, of course, help you to enhance your chances. So applying with us helps to have a better chance at being able to start your study over there. We are experts in the process, all the documents that you need. We can also help with translations. It is all free of charge, and I am Dutch myself, and we have another Dutch staff member, so we can also communicate for you with the universities about any subject when needed. Here you see international students, happy international students. So the idea is that one day where it says you, your picture could be added. On our website, you can see a little bit more about us, and you can also see what we call success stories. So, of course, we have sent many students abroad. We are also working for the United Kingdom, so we can also help you with applications for that country. Colleagues of mine will be helping you for that. I am the one really focused on Holland, but on our website, you can see success stories of students who we have helped to go and study abroad. Here you see contact details. We have offices in the United Kingdom, in Sheffield to be exact. We have an office in Mexico, Mexico City. Then we have somebody on the ground in Bolivia. She has worked for the UK embassy for many years, and she is stationed in La Paz. And we have somebody on the ground in Paraguay. His name is Ross, and he is based in Asunción in Paraguay. So for Holland, despite us having people on the ground in several countries, for Holland, I would be the one helping you. For the United Kingdom, we have study advisors in the other countries as well. We have a Facebook account at the moment. Recently, we have changed the name because the 4 universities are going to work together a little bit more. And you can find us under Study Destination Holland and also Instagram Study Destination Holland. Talking about that, there will be virtual fairs coming up this fall. And the Dutch universities will be present there. We will be going to Europostgrados. There is a big Study in Holland fair, a virtual one, early December. Apart from that, we will be visiting the BMI fair and also FPP. So for Holland universities, we are going to be present at several occasions. That is it from my end. I am going to switch to questions, and I'm going to ask my colleagues as well for certain questions that have been asked here, so I can answer questions that were in the chat box already and that I have missed.
Apart from the visa fee, what other costs will I be paying in the entire application process? Do you have an approximate? Anna is asking this.
Okay, so in general, application fee applies only to 2 universities. Applying for VU Amsterdam is 75 euros. Then we have Radboud University, and they also have a fee of 75 euros to apply. That is all that it costs. Apart from that, the University of Twente only has this one faculty for where you have to pay. Over there you pay 100 euros. That's the Faculty of Electronical Engineering. The other faculties is free of charge to apply. And in Groningen, it is a little bit the same. You only apply for science and engineering programs, and all the other programs you do not have to pay. For Innova service, you don't have to pay. And I see a question here. I see somebody who's asking about the University of Amsterdam. So I would like to stipulate that I have been helping this year many students also get into other universities. We from Innova, we think it is important to help people. In general, the order that I have received is that if you apply to a program of one of our universities, then I am only allowed to help you with other universities. So some students of mine are going to Erasmus, some are going to Utrecht, Leiden, or Maastricht, and we have been helping them as well, checking documents, etc. The main thing is that at least one of our universities is also in your list, so that we have an option there as well, but we are helping students also for other universities.
What are the main factors to be awarded a scholarship?
The main factors to be awarded a scholarship, you will be requested to write a motivation letter, and I can tell you that that motivation letter for any Dutch university is very important. In general, you need to have a good promedio. Of course, that is important. 8.5 and up will really give you a good chance. If you, for instance, have a 7, it is more difficult to get a scholarship. In the end, the focus, however, will be on your motivation letter. And the motivation letter that you are sending for a scholarship is different than a motivation letter for a program itself. For a scholarship, it is much more about your motivation to do this course. And if you, for instance, write a motivation letter for, I give you an example for CONACYT here in Mexico, then it is also about how are you going to help Mexico ahead when you come back, in what way will you be building relations. So it is a little bit more particular, and I can help you per scholarship. The motivation letter will be a little bit different, and I check motivation letters. Of course, you have to write it yourself, but I do check them and I give tips on how you can enhance your chances there.
Should I first pick a university and then contact Innova?
No, that is not necessary at all. I will be in contact with you as well, because I have a lot of students have, of course, now registered for this event. So I will send you what we call a general follow-up email with links to the universities, with a link to be able to make an appointment with me. Also to our online application form, already the link. But you can start yourself. You can contact me via WhatsApp as well. But no, that is in general not necessary. You can start the process wherever you want to.
Do you need work experience to be able to apply for a master's program?
You do not. No. So in general, in Holland, Dutch students, many of them will first do a bachelor degree and immediately continue with their masters. That is not in every country the case, but in Holland it is. In Holland, very often, even for instance, MBA, you can very often even do that immediately after your bachelor degree. So no, in general, that is not a requirement.
Is there an age limit to apply for a scholarship?
For certain scholarships, there will be an age limit. It also depends a little bit on the goal, of course, of the scholarship. It's important to realize we are now talking about master scholarships. In general, I have seen scholarships that put a limit on 40, but I have also seen scholarships that didn't put any age limit at all.
When should I start applying? At the moment, I'm doing my social service and starting with my thesis.
Okay, that is a good question because I don't remember if I have mentioned the dates as such so much. So, for instance, if you want to apply for a course in September 2021, these applications open mid-October 2020. So that is also the date that would be good to apply, especially if you want to apply to scholarships that have an early deadline. However, if that is not that important, you can apply a little bit later as well. There is no problem. It is best to apply between October and December of this year if you want to apply for September 2021. I am already working at the moment with students who want to apply for September 21 because we are already collecting documents. I already created StudyLink accounts. These are all preparations that we can already do. So if you want to apply for September, we can start the process right now, but the direct application with the university, that will be mid-October. There are also programs available for February 2021 at certain universities. So Radboud has a few, Twente has quite a few, and also Groningen has programs that start in February, and those applications are already open. And that is really a matter of starting right now because the first deadline is mid-October to have everything finished and all documents uploaded. One more thing I would like to say about documents is that you can already apply without your degree certificate. We can send that in later. So the degree certificate deadline is later. We can start the application, send it in, and then if you are admitted, you get a conditional offer saying that we still later need to send that application, the degree certificate. Another thing that we can send in later is the English certificate. Exception is Twente. Twente does want the English certificate from the start, but the other three universities allow us to send the English certificate a little bit later. So in general, mid-October, start your application. You do not need your English certificate nor your degree certificate yet, but it is important to start early, especially because some of these universities can take up to 6 to 8 weeks before they give you an answer.
If I want to apply just for admission without the scholarship, can Innova help me?
Yes, of course. The scholarship is an option. We get the question a lot about scholarships, so very often both are combined. But yes, I also have privately funded students, and they are not applying to a scholarship. So we help in the process whether or not there is a scholarship.
Are there any other ways to
Yes.
like finance the studies, like apply for a student loan or something like that?
Okay, I'm
Muted. Unmuted.
Undergraduate students.
I was muted. I was muted for a little bit, and I don't know what happened, but I was muted. So I have been saying that we support all Latin American Spanish-speaking students. And what was the last question?
If we have short courses or internships for undergraduate degrees.
Short courses? Hardly. No. So for undergraduate degrees, as Sander also mentioned, at research universities, they are 3 years. And if you do not have an IB diploma, but you went to a normal high school, then you will also need to do a foundation to make it up to 4 years in total. Not all research universities have that possibility, but for instance, Twente and Amsterdam have that possibility. Short courses we hardly have. What we do have available is like summer courses. That is available at several universities.
They're also asking if we are going to send a recording of the session.
Yes, we will send a recording of the session. We are recording it right now, so we will send that.
If they're in the middle of studying an undergraduate degree here in Latin America, are they able to transfer to Holland?
Very often that is difficult. Why? For instance, if you are following a program here in, let's say, chemical engineering. Chemical engineering is a subject that Twente is very strong at. Then this will be a 3-year course in Twente. So then it depends on what you have already done here. Because, for instance, if in Twente, in the first year, they do different subjects than they have covered in your university over here, then there is a mismatch. So they really, really have to look into what you have done so far. But it is very well possible that they will set you 1 year back because you miss a certain background. It is very well possible to look into. For certain students, we have done it. But it is very important to see exactly what you did so far and if that matches with the course that you would be doing in Holland.
If I apply for a program that starts next year, maybe January, would there be a problem to start my program because of COVID-19?
Not at all, no. So at the moment, my first students actually for September 21 have been traveling this week. That means that in Holland, it will be hybrid, as they call it. So it is a mix. It will be a mix of normal study on campus in class and bigger lectures that will be online. But at the moment, my students are normally starting in Holland. There are a few exceptions there, especially, for instance, in Amsterdam. They like to do the first bit online, but in other universities not. And for January, we really expect that everything will be more and more back to normal. So I can already tell you that at this moment, 80% of the students that start in September start online in Holland in a normal way. There will just be more online classes. That is the main difference at the moment. And when you arrive in Holland right now and you come from, for instance, a country like Mexico where COVID is a problem, then they will request you to go into quarantine, even though it is not obligatory.
Do the Orange Tulip Scholarship change year by year?
A little bit. So it depends. Orange Tulip Scholarship are different per university. We have not gone so much into detail, but for instance, in Amsterdam, they will pay your whole tuition fee, and you can go for any course in the University of Amsterdam. In Radboud, Orange Tulip means that your tuition fee is lowered from the international fee to the European fee. So in general, that would mean from 12,500 to 2,500. So you get a 10,000 euro discount. In Groningen is the Faculty of Arts, and there you get a monthly allowance of about 500 euros. So it differs per university, and they have the freedom to change them. But in general, this is not something that happens a lot. Sander, are you still there? Because you are the Orange Tulip Scholarship expert.
Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, Orange Tulip Scholarship is a program which renews itself every year. So right now we're still in the phase of inviting all Dutch universities to participate for next year. And in November we will unveil the list of which universities will participate for the next academic year for starting in September 2021. Every university has their own scholarship. They determine what they want to give as scholarship, and they determine what requirements there are. And you will find it all on our website, nicelatinamerika.org/OTS, starting in November.
Okay, there's another question about the scholarships. Diana is asking, what happens if she is accepted to Maastricht and to Tilburg for a master's in law? Can she apply to both scholarships?
Yes. That is no problem at all. So you can apply to both. The only thing is that, what do you mean with Orange Tulip scholarship?
With Orange Tulip.
Yes, I think, no, then it is only one. Sander, that is only one, right?
In case of the Orange Tulip Scholarship, if you have at least the proof that you're in the process of admission, so an acceptance letter or at least an email that says, okay, we have received your documents, you can apply for any scholarship you want. So for example, if you're applying in 4 universities and all 4 of them participate in the Orange Tulip Scholarship, send us an application, individual application for each university, and you can apply for and win any of them. So there's no problem actually. Of course, in the end, if you win all of them, you have to decide where you're going to go. Of course, you can only accept one, but you can apply for several.
Okay. Another question, how many times can you apply for the scholarship? So if you don't get it the
Sorry,
first
how many
time,
times?
you apply again, then
Do you mean the year after? So the year after you would be able to apply again. Yes.
Yeah. Although in Holland Scholarship, be aware that if you have won the scholarship once, you cannot renew it or apply again. It's only once that you can win the Holland Scholarship.
Is there any scholarship for a PhD?
For PhDs, I have to, that is a very good question, by the way, because I can tell you now is that, so we from Innova, we are allowed to help students to go and study in Holland, either a bachelor degree or a master degree. Research is different. You will be an employee and everything works a little bit different. So this is something that we are not involved with. About scholarships, very often you can get support from universities, but it is something that is more checked at an individual base.
Is it possible to combine the Holland Scholarship and the Orange Tulip Scholarship?
Good question as well. That depends per university. So this year I had indeed a student that in Radboud was got both scholarships, got the Holland Scholarship and then also the Orange Tulip Scholarship. And then this student had to choose between the two and therefore chose the Orange Tulip Scholarship. So it depends. There's also universities that do allow it. I also have students that have both scholarships, and then it is okay. So it depends per university. I think, and honestly, Radboud is the only one that really wants to give one scholarship per student, which I can understand, but other universities are okay with combining.
There's another question that it's similar. It says, is there a limit for mixing or adding scholarships?
No, in general not. You also have to be aware is that depending on scholarships that you apply to, if you apply to a certain organization, they won't know that you also apply to another organization. So no, that is not the case. It is important, the scholarships that are mentioned by Sander, Nufik Nesso, it is very important to realize that Orange Tulip and Holland, these are a little bit combined, of course, and then certain universities will have certain rules. Radboud, for instance, does not like it if you combine them. In Amsterdam, it's the other way around. You can only apply to the Holland Scholarship if you have also applied to a VUFP and Orange Tulip. So they do it the other way around.
There's a question for Sander. When he was giving his presentation, he referred to a carta de recomendación para un bachiller. They want to know what that means.
Did you hear the question, Sander?
Yes. If you are going to study a master's degree, it's quite common that the universities ask for a recommendation letter, which is usually written by one of your professors during the bachelor's degree. If you are starting a bachelor's degree, probably you don't have to hand in a recommendation letter or a motivation letter or curriculum vitae. Many times the documents you have to send them are mainly the academic ones, so your high school diploma plus your English level. Those are the two most important ones. And maybe a short like motivation statement why you would like to study this bachelor's degree. But they don't really ask for recommendation letters for bachelor's degrees. It's not very common.
Okay. If I have studied 1 year in a university here in Peru, would I still need to do the foundation course in Holland?
That really depends. So it would be best for this student to send me the data what is happening at the moment. So it really depends. The foundation year very often. So if I think about the Mexican situation, if you have done an IB, International Bachillerato, then they really prepare you for direct entry into these universities, and you will need certain programs in high level. Very often it is, for instance, math in high level that you would need. And if you don't have that, then even the IB will not suffice. So it really depends on your background, what you have done. One extra thing that has not mentioned yet, I think, is that universities will normally ask you for what they call a course description. So they are going to ask you, what is your previous education and what exactly did you do, especially for master degrees. They even look into literature, etc. So it really depends, but it is very well possible that if you did something, let's say exactly the same, and you did 1 year in university, for instance, in something like economics, and then you want to switch, then it is very well possible that they will allow it, maybe with some extra courses or a test to make sure that your knowledge is up to speed.
Someone is asking you, Jack, if your office hours are in Mexico time.
Yes, we are in Mexico. Yes and no. So we work also quite a bit outside office hours. So in general, officially we are open between 9 and 6, but I have to admit that with most students, I'm a lot in contact between 6 and 8. That is Mexico time. So for instance, Bolivia, it will be an hour later, but in general, I will always answer also if it is a little bit later after that.
Okay, someone is asking if they have a job that they do online. Can they keep on doing that while studying in Holland?
Very difficult. So doing a job online, let's put it like this. Sander also mentioned that you can work a little bit. You are allowed to work up to 16 hours, but the courses are very intense, especially the masters. So this means that it's going to be very difficult for you to combine. It depends a little bit how much hours it will be. But if it is a normal job, then we can simply say that no, you cannot combine that with the study.
How can I get information to start the application?
I am going to do follow-up of this session, and I'm going to send everybody a generic email, and there you will be able to start. There's a link to our online application form. You can already find it online. So if you go to our website, innovaeducation.com, you can immediately start filling out the online application form, and you will be asked certain questions and upload documents. When it comes to the online application form, I would like to stipulate that I can start the process already if I have your passport. That's the main thing that I can already start with, creating study link. Many other documents are requested, but they can follow later via email. Sometimes students are waiting to have all their documents before they start the process. That is not necessary. You can fill out that form, attach a passport or an ID, and I can start the process for you.
I have shared your email address in the chat.
Okay.
To be able to write to you. There's another question. Can I study Dutch while I'm doing my program?
Yes, you can. Completely separate from the program, because Dutch as such is not something that is studied at the research universities, but besides the study that you do, the course that you're going to follow, you can study Dutch, yes.
Is there another way to finance the studies, like a student loan?
Yes. Yes. So that depends on the country where you live. It will be good if you and I are in contact so we can look at your finance options.
What about the university grades? Mine are low. Are there any other considerations in order to obtain the scholarship?
So in general, yes, the motivation letter in combination with how you did and then the English level, those are very important factors. And the grades are low. It depends a little bit on high-low. So how low exactly they are. For instance, in Bolivia, we know that in Bolivia, the grades that are being given are much lower than, for instance, in Mexico. A student that gets a 7 in Bolivia is a good student, and you can compare that to a student who gets maybe even over an 8 here in Mexico. So it is very important also to look at the country where you are from and to inform the university, which is what we do, is that how exactly is the grading scale and what is a good grade in a certain country and what is not such a good grade.
Regarding the student visa, you mentioned the funds would be verified. Can these funds be confirmed with both scholarships and loans?
Yes.
Okay. What does HBO and WO stand for?
Yes, okay, so that's a little bit complicated. That has to do with StudyLink. So HBO stands for, and I'm going to say something Dutch, Hoger Beroepsonderwijs. And that is like the Universities of Applied Science. And WO means wetenschappelijk onderwijs, and those are the research universities. So that's also why I'm helping you with the StudyLink account to make sure that you do everything correct. It is a little bit different, as Sander has explained. The first one is most theoretical, the research universities, and the applied science are more practical.
Is there a maximum word count recommended for motivation letters?
Yes, not so much a word count. So for scholarships, sometimes there is a maximum word count, and they say they only want 500 or 1,000 or a little bit more words. If you look at motivation letters, in general, we always say it is great if it is a little bit more than 1 page. So one and a half pages is in general what we strive for.
Is StudyLink the same in all Latin American countries?
Yes, StudyLink is the same, and not only for Latin America, but I would say for the whole world, even for Holland. So StudyLink is the program to be able to apply to any Dutch university, whether research or applied science, that goes through StudyLink.
Can I apply to more than one program within one university?
Yes, as long as they are not exactly, let's say, almost the same. So if you are going to study psychology, and then there is something that is very close to psychology but has a slightly different specialization, then it is not possible, because they say, okay, this is almost the same program and you have to choose between the two. If it is programs that are a little bit different, then there is no problem and you can apply to 2 different programs.
I cannot find the Holland section on the Innova Education website.
Okay. We have a special Facebook page at the moment, but yes, the website of Innova is more focused on the United Kingdom, and there is not so much a Holland section as such at the moment. It is all in one go, the Innova Education website.
I think you mentioned this before, Jack. Is there a maximum of universities or programs we can apply at StudyLink?
Yes, 4.
Can I take my wife with me while studying a master's degree? And would she have the right to work full time?
Yes. So maybe Sander knows a little bit more about that, but yes, normally you can bring your wife. Sander, that would be one for you, I think.
Yes, the university will arrange your visa as a student, of course, and your wife could apply for the family reunion visa through the embassy, directly through the embassy. However, it's important to bear in mind that she will not be able to work while accompanying you during your studies. So that's something that you should take into account, that she's not allowed to really work. She can do maybe some voluntary work, or maybe some courses, take some courses, but that's about it. So I think that is something important to take into account, if it will be worth it to go through all the paperwork.
Thank you, Sander.
Another question. I am currently filling everything out in StudyLink. Should I stop and get in touch with you first? HBO and WO threw me out.
Yes. So you can continue. Sometimes I'm also helping students that already created the StudyLink account, and then they give me the login data and I continue for them. So no problem. But in general, yes, it is something that I help with. And I can imagine HBO and WO is confusing, but you can still continue. You can come to me at any point. No problem.
This has been mentioned. Is English the main language on the classes?
Yes. Yes.
Are university semesters with low grades in Bolivia considered positively to skip the foundation year in Holland? Or is it mandatory to validate good scores of a semester to skip the foundation year?
To skip the foundation year, they are indeed going to look in the grades, how you did, but they're mainly going to look into what exactly did you do in universities? Which programs, sorry, which areas, which subjects have been taught, and what literature was used, what theory has been discussed. That is what they're going to look into, because they have to make sure that when you start your study over there, that you did not miss something, or that you know that it has a good fit with the second year or the next semester that you would start in Holland. So they would look into detail, especially into what you did.
I think I have read this one before. Is there another way to finance the studies, like a student loan?
Yes, you read that, and yes, there is.
Yes. Innova supports also with applications to scholarships from private organizations, or only the OTS and the Holland Scholarship?
No, we support in general. When it comes to scholarships, we have to be a little bit careful, because, for instance, the motivation letter, that has to be your letter, right? So when it comes to the support that we can give for scholarships, that is relatively limited, but we of course help with the documents, making sure that everything is in order. So also with CONACYT, we are able to help, but we also have to be careful, because, for instance, the motivation letter really has to be yours. But yes, in general, we help in the process as we can, and up to the limit that we think is okay.
If I already have a place to stay, can I get Innova's help just for the admission?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I think I have gone through most of the questions. We can give just a few seconds to see if someone has anything.
Okay. In the meantime, I would like to thank Sander very much from Ludwig Nesso for being here, and also staying here for the questions. It's in the meantime 8 o'clock over here. Very good, Sander, and thank you very much. It was a very nice session. We've had almost 200 people online, so all very good, and thank you.
I have one last question, please. Does the government ask for the students to have certain amount of money on their accounts?
That is a possibility, yes. So before you apply, you are admitted, etc. And when everything is in order, you can start the visa process. When you start the visa process, there's two things that they're going to look at. Actually, there's three amounts that they're going to look at. First of all, you have to pay for the application of the visa, which is only that 174 euros at this moment. And apart from that, most of the universities will then request you to pay the colegiatura, to pay the tuition fee. If you have a scholarship, and then after that, they will indeed look into a bank account to see if you have the money available for to be able to live. Exceptions are there. It is also possible to already transfer amounts into the Dutch university, and they will simply pay it back. Groningen is one of those universities that does that. So you transfer, let's say, everything, the money that you need, then you go to Holland, you open a bank account, and then your living costs will be paid back there.
Do we have an approximate amount of the living cost?
Yes, let's say it's about 11,000 euros that you would need for a full year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miguel is asking, I'm interested in economic programs. Can I apply to the 4 universities?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can apply to the 4 universities. I can already tell you that for economics, 3 universities are going to be probably have the best options for you: Amsterdam, Groningen, and Radboud. Economics in Twente, not so much, but the other 3, yes, definitely.
Is it important to have a Cardex without flunked courses?
Yes, in general, yes. And it also depends on which courses you. When you talk about flunked courses, what are we talking about exactly? Is that relevant to what you are going to study? That is also important, of course, but yeah, flunked courses is not.
Can we apply twice to universities?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there in the Netherlands something similar to the green card?
The green card? No, there is not. You have this orientation year, and a green card as such doesn't exist. If you want to stay in Holland, you would need a specific visa for that. Sander, this one could be for you as well.
Yeah, in the Netherlands we don't have like the American green card. No, it's really you have your residence permits and you have a working permit. If you are studying in the Netherlands, you'll have a residence permit with the goal of studying in the Netherlands. And if you find an employer who is interested in hiring you for like 10 hours per week, he must go obtain your work permit in the Netherlands. So yeah, those are two separate things actually in the Netherlands. Once you're graduated, you can apply for the orientation year. You can work whenever because the orientation year visa does allow you to work without the need of a working permit. But if you find a job at the level of your studies, then again your employer must obtain your working permit for you.
Thank you, Sander.
Is it easy to get the work permit for 1 year after graduating?
The orientation year, so
Yeah, well,
1 year,
the
that is easy.
orientation year is very easy.
Yeah, very easy.
And this one is one of the 4 universities better for studying art-related masters?
Art-related masters, yes. So art-related masters would not be Twente. Art-related masters are relatively strong in Groningen and also relatively strong in Amsterdam. When it comes to art, I would say those two universities are the first ones I would look at. But Radboud might also have something, but those two universities would be my first choice. Okay, sustainability. Yes, we have a lot of sustainability. Development as well. Yes, so the main thing indeed for specific questions that you have about possibilities with courses would be to send me an email or be in contact. As said, I'm going to do a follow-up and will send information in there. I will also repeat the contact information of Sander and Nufik Nesso, so you can also contact Nufik Nesso whenever you want. We send the presentation and the video so you can still look at everything once more. And specific questions you can ask in any way, also via WhatsApp, by the way, specific questions. I would like to thank everybody for attending today. And again, Sander, great that you helped with the presentation. Thank you very much. And of course, we all hope that in the end you will choose Holland as your study destination. We can only repeat once more that it's a great country to study and it's a very open country. And in general, also important, we love Latin Americans and they are doing very well in our country. So we hope to see you there one day. Thank you very much. And I hope to hear from you. Goodbye.